Hey, hey, happy Thursday, everybody. Happy Thursday. If you are on here, please get those likes up. Tag anybody on this discussion who you think may find it interesting. Um, like, share, subscribe if you haven't already. um, Also, if you'd like to show support to the show, you can find me on Cash App or Venmo. Shay Sade, appreciate all the love. Also, appreciate any super chat. So, I'm excited about today's conversation. Um, this has been something that I have been learning about myself and wanting to understand a little bit more in particular, and I'm excited to have special guests on who is well versed in some of these different topics and has a lot to say on the matter. So today we're going to be talking about whether or not Black immigrants are the problem in Black America. Now I know some of you guys in the comments earlier in the community post, I saw a lot of mixture. I saw a lot of mixed feedback, but if you weren't aware already, this is a hot and trending topic, especially in the Twitter space, TikTok, and some of these other social media platforms. So I thought it would be a good time to just sit down and talk about this hot topic, this issue, if you see it as an issue or what's happening, because, whether or not we agree or disagree, Black immigration is happening. So again, I'm excited to talk about this. Just a few ground rules. I am going to have a few minutes where I talk to Charisse Lane directly. And then once we've gotten through those questions, I'm going to open up the call lines. You guys are free to express yourself. I just ask that you keep things respectful, that you be mindful of language, and that we be mindful of each other. So I just want to put that out there. I know sometimes this can be a heated topic. So like I said, you are free to express yourself. Just want to make sure that it's done with respect and that we be mindful of language and that, everybody is treated well. So with that, I am going to bring on a special guest and we'll move on. Okay. Hey.
Hi.
How's it going?
Everything is going well. Thank you for asking. And how's yourself? Before we get started, I just want to know that as well.
I'm good. I'm good. It's been a busy day. I'm sure you can attest to that, but happy to
Yes.
be here. So, and
Same.
I, yeah, so I do appreciate you coming on and sharing your perspective. I'm sure you know more than me how much of a hot topic this is,
Yes.
and it is a constant conversation. I'm going to be honest. I'm not really on Twitter like that. But I think it was like last week or 2 weeks ago. My husband was telling me, he was like, "Oh, it looks like you were like a topic of conversation, specifically related to this." And that's partially why I wanted to bring you on, because I was like, okay,
Oh, I was?
if I'm not mistaken, there's some
Oh,
stuff going on.
child. Oh,
Yeah,
Lord.
hot topic. Okay, let me get you on to talk about this whole idea of Black immigration and whether or not it is impacting the Black community, if it's good, if it's bad. I just want to hear your thoughts. So again, I do appreciate you being here, and for those of you who are hopping on and joining, please get those likes up. Get those likes up. Tag anybody, share it with somebody who you think may find it interesting. Also, send in your support via super chats, or you can find me on Cash App or Venmo, Shay Sade. Also, be sure to check out Charisse Lane's YouTube and Instagram page, and show some love, show some support. So I want to get right into the topic since I know we have a lot to cover off. Can you tell us just about yourself and about your family?
Yes. So, again, my name is Charisse Lane. I was born and raised in Orlando, Florida, West Orlando specifically. So that's like where all of the Black people are. Not really like a rich part of town, but my mom's side. First, I want to say this. I'm not a representative of ADOS FBA. We all have differing opinions on stuff. I am not the leader of ADOS FBA Black Americans. I am Charisse Lane. I do have my own opinions when it comes to things, but I do advocate for reparations specifically, and I identify as ADOS. But I'm also half Jamaican, so this topic is very like different for me because I don't have ADOS on both sides of my family. Like, my mom's side is ADOS, my dad's side is Jamaican, so he's an immigrant. Um, but yeah, that's pretty much me. I was raised ADOS though. My parents are divorced, so I really wasn't raised by my dad's side. I really wasn't raised in Jamaican culture. The only culture I was raised in was Black American culture. And even then, when it comes to Black American culture, there are different types of cultures in Black American culture. So I was raised in the Black church, in the Black American church. My grandparents are pastors. My grandfather, he was one of the first Black firefighters of the city of Orlando. That kind of stuff. So yeah, that's pretty much me. I'm happy to be here. This is a very controversial topic, and I have bumped heads with a lot of people when it comes to a lot of stuff, especially on Twitter. So I'm surprised that you said your husband saw that. I'm surprised that he saw uh that. I guess that means that my name was going pretty viral when it comes to this stuff. But I will say that I've been as genuine as I can be, and I've never been a part of the ADOS movement to gain clout. Like I really am passionate about my people and about the side that raised me. So that's pretty much it from me.
All right, all right. Now, would you mind, just for those who are unaware, would you mind just expounding a little bit more upon just ADOS, what it stands for, what it means to you?
Right. So ADOS stands for American Descendants of Slaves, and that's basically Black Americans, Black people in America who are descendants of those slaves that came over, in the transatlantic, slave trade and all of that. And also, I'm going to say this: there could be possibly some Black Americans who originate from Black people who were already here before the slave trade
Mhm.
was started.
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't talk about that. So that's one thing. ADOS, we also advocate for reparations for Black Americans, and
Mhm.
we advocate because that's something that the United States government has promised to us, and yet they haven't delivered on it. They've delivered on it when it comes to every other people group and every other racial group. They have given some form of reparations, but still, Black America is nothing. They give us is symbolism. All they give us is Black people who they think or who they think that we think is for us, but they don't put any legislation out for us. So that's basically what AOS is, and it's more so an advocacy group, but there are a lot of Black Americans who don't know about the groups ADOS, FBA. They're just not really in tune with it. So yeah.
Okay, okay. So ADOS, you're saying, yeah, American descendants of slaves, and essentially that movement. One of the primary positions or things that they fight for is reparations for African
Yes.
Americans, as the government has yet to deliver on
Yes.
that. If you are on here, please get those likes up. Get those likes up. Tag anybody. Share it with somebody who you think they find it interesting. We're talking about just Black immigration and whether or not it is a problem in America.
Let me I know
Yeah.
this probably unprofessional, but people are saying there's a lag in my video. So let me try to fix my Wi-Fi
Oh, that's fine.
really
No worries.
quick. Everybody, I'm sorry about that. Technical difficulties, but let
No
me let me
worries.
try to fix that. Okay.
If we can, at least if we can hear you. Okay. Okay. I'm going to remove you and then bring you back and see if that.
Okay. Is there still a lag? I don't know if there is, but
Okay. Let me try something real quick. Um, okay. Okay. So let's try this now and see see if it
it was
works
my
out.
Wi-Fi. I don't know. We're on Spectrum. I don't even know if you guys know about Spectrum, but I don't know what's going on with that. But I turned my Wi-Fi off, so I'm just on cellular data now, everyone.
All good. All good. Like I always like to say, if this, it's not a good stream if there's not a little bit of struggle in it. So.
Right.
All right. So, okay. So, on to the next question. In your opinion, is Black immigration a problem in America?
So again, I am my dad is an immigrant, so I have a unique perspective. I wouldn't necessarily say it's a problem, but I would say that what I've noticed is some Black immigrants who come over here, they don't educate themselves on the struggle that Black Americans have endured in this country and the contributions that Black Americans have made to society, and how Black Americans have paved the way for Black immigrants to be here. So I think because a lot don't educate themselves on that, or they look and believe some stereotypes, not saying all, but they look and believe some stereotypes of Black Americans when they come over here, it's not really benefiting us, especially like when it comes to the workplace. I believe if you're a Black immigrant coming over here, in order to, I guess, pay homage or honor Black Americans, if you're like in the workforce, if you're like ahead in the workforce, you should be offering some jobs to Black Americans. Like if they're applying for those jobs, putting some money back into the economy of when it comes to Black Americans. But being that my dad is an immigrant, I wouldn't necessarily say I wouldn't like I don't hate immigrants, because if I did hate immigrants, I wouldn't be here. Like
Yeah.
my dad my dad is Jamaican, so it's just like I can't hate immigrants, you know. But there is a sort of problem with Black immigrants come over here not paying homage, not putting money back into the Black community. Even like I was talking with my friend about this. He's ADOS on both sides, and he said that he would love if Black immigrants from other countries would create some type of what is it, dual domination, dual I'm trying to think of the word. You know, when you have like you have both citizenships, dual citizenships for their country, offering some type of special dual citizenship for Black Americans and offering some type of deal with that. That would really help. But overall, it's like half and half with me. It's like because I
Okay.
see some problems when it comes to Black immigrants, but at the same time, that's not everybody. That's not everybody's disrespectful. Not everybody comes here with ill intent, but you do have those people that you do encounter, I do encounter on Twitter, who just have some bad misconceptions that just needs to be nipped in the bud. Even I have a pinned tweet on my Twitter where I addressed this woman in the conservative movement, not going to say her name, but she was basically trying to say that Black History Month shouldn't exist. And I'm just like, if you don't have any connections when it comes to Black History Month, and if you don't have any connections to Black American history, you really don't have a right to say that Black History Month shouldn't exist. It was created by a Black American, and it was the purpose of it was to commemorate Black American history, Black history. So, you know,
Okay. So
I like went in with her on that a
yeah.
lot.
Okay. So you're saying, in your opinion, you wish you wouldn't say that Black immigrants are as a whole a problem, but you believe that there are some of them who are a problem, and you wish more of them were able to contribute financially into America. I just want to make sure, like those who are able to,
Into Black America, Black,
Black America, sorry,
not
Black
because they
America.
do contribute. I feel like they do contribute in a way to America, because they're if you're working in America, I guess you're contributing to the economy in some way. But Black America specifically, because we do need help. Okay, I'm not gonna sit here and say that we don't. We do need help. We spend a lot of money, but it's just like, what money are we putting back into the community? So
So I guess
I
I'm
don't I don't know for sure like who or what. I don't know every Black immigrant in America, so I don't know their story when it comes to putting money back into the Black American community. But I think if you're coming over here in order to pay some type of homage and respect to Black Americans and the path that Black Americans have created for Black immigrants to be here, just contributing, helping us out, helping us out in any way that you can.
so I guess I'm trying to figure out how would that be quantified? I actually just saw a report. I think I don't know if it was maybe 2 days ago, that it was from NBC. I was looking at Black immigration, and it said I think now about 1 in 10 Black people in America are Black immigrants. About 1 in 10. Um, no, I'm sorry. Yeah, one in no 1 in 10. Yeah, Black people are. One of them is a Black immigrant. I'm all over the place. And then it was basically saying of that, Black immigrants have like the highest poverty rate compared to other groups just in general. Like Black immigrants in particular have the highest poverty rate. And then it also said in that article, um, I think it said about 31% of Black immigrants by the age of 25 have a bachelor's degree. But there's still a pretty large percentage of them, I think, who don't necessarily have education or aren't necessarily doing that well as far as financially. So I guess my question would be how would that be quantified? Are you saying that like metrics are showing that maybe Black immigrants they're making more than your average Black American, or they are making money, or you know what I mean? Like, how are you able to quantify, okay, these 1 in 10 out of 1 in 10 Black immigrants who come over, they're giving to Black Americans? What would that be? Would it be organization? Like, how do you measure that? How do you measure?
I honestly, I can't get, like, I'm reading the comments as we speak, and I see some people saying that this conversation is dishonest. Listen, first of all, I come here with good intent, you know. I'm here for the conversation. I'm not I'm not being dishonest or anything. I'm answering to the best of my ability. I am, again, I can't really, I would say this. I'm not an advocate or a spokesperson for ADOS FBA. I'm just Charisse, okay?
Yeah.
So anyways, I can't I can't really measure that. But like I said, the people who are making those moves, who are in a high position, you know, high through the hiring process. If you see Black immigrants, Black Americans, hire both, you know, just putting money back into the Black community the best way you can, the Black American community the best way you can.
And you're
saying,
saying
that's like the answer that I could give.
Okay, and you're saying, I just want to make sure clear, and you're saying currently the maybe small percentage of Black immigrants who are getting to the point to where they're in positions of power, they are not giving back. That's what you're saying.
I didn't say that. I didn't say that, but I'm saying if you are in that position, just make sure I just would suggest that you do that in order to pay homage to Black Americans, in order to just give honor to whom honor is due. You know, I don't know the specifics of Black immigrants who are in those positions. I don't know the story of every Black immigrant who comes into this country. Yeah. You know, I just don't have those stats. I wish I did. But that would be my suggestion and my advice.
Okay, is that for those Black immigrants who are coming over and who are able to succeed,
yes,
that they would give back.
Just help us out. You know, just help us out, because I'm not gonna lie, we are struggling. You know, Black American community, it hasn't been easy. We are struggling economically as a community.
Yeah, no,
and it's been that way for a while, and it goes back to, shout out to Dr. Clyde Anderson. I'm reading his book PAN-AFRIKANISM, where he talks about why the Black American community is in the state that it's in today, and he breaks down every point of why that is. So
yeah,
that's my answer. You know, answer to the best of my ability, everyone. I really am trying to answer as genuine as I can, and I do, like, my heart is just, when it comes to this issue, it's as pure as it's gonna get. Like I would say, it really is.
Yeah,
I just want what's best for everybody, you know.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Like I said, Charisse, shout out to Charisse for coming on here. You're welcome here. Like I said, I haven't been keeping up with all the guests. I'm trying to stay focused. But you know, like I said, this is gonna be, not everyone's gonna agree with your opinion. Not everyone will agree with my opinion. It is what it is. So this is not necessarily this is not a pass or failing grade. I'm not here being like, oh, you said that wrong, F. I'm just,
it's more so for your your people in your comments, because I'm reading a lot of the comments, and it's just like, it seemed disingenuous. I'm like, well, I'm not really here to be disingenuous. I'm really literally telling you, I'm not the spokesperson. I'm just Charisse, answering to the best of my ability. But I do advocate for ADOS.
Listen, unless you see a super chat with that negative comment, you can just keep it pushing. Okay, we want to stay focused. Also, I want to give a special shout out to Eugene Steele with the 10 on the super chat. I see immigrants come into this country to have a new life for themselves. There may be some who intend to cause trouble, but most do not have those intentions. Black immigrants are no exception. Shout out to Eugene Steele again. And then I see Percy. You wouldn't like me when I'm angry. It says for the $5 super chat. I appreciate it. Just want to say hello to the beautiful host and the gorgeous guest.
Hi.
That you are. Also, I saw a cash app through Hakeem, the $7.50 on the cash app. Always appreciate the support. Always appreciate the support. And again, if you are here, get those likes up, tag anybody, or share it with somebody who you think may find it interesting. We're just talking a little bit about Black immigration, whether or not Black immigrants are the problem in Black America. I'm so happy to have special guest here, Charisse Lane, who I know has a lot to offer on the topic. And so we're just here to get her opinion. Okay, now on to the next question. Let me see. So, in your opinion, do Black immigrants, or do you think Black immigrants vote in favor or against Black Americans?
I I would say they everyone votes in favor of their community, in favor
Okay.
of their interests. You know,
Mm-hmm.
if they feel like their community aligns with the Black American community, then they're gonna vote in favor of Black Americans. If they don't, they're gonna vote in the best interest of themselves, their community, as they should. You know.
Yeah. One of the things that's interesting about the article I just read earlier today again, I think it was NBC. I'll link to it to the description. But one of the interesting things is that in it, it basically said like Black immigrants essentially they pretty much face the same, some of the same institutional problems that Black Americans face, right? Because it's like a non-Black person is looking at you like you're Black. They don't care if you're an immigrant. They don't care if
A
you're,
lot of them can't tell the difference until
they
they
can't.
probably like ask you questions or
Yeah. So they're saying that a lot of immigrants who come over, they face hard the racism. That's a big thing that they do have to deal with and they have to navigate. So, to your point, if given the opportunity, I'm sure anybody was going to vote in the favor of that's going to actually benefit them or benefit those who look at them at the very least. Um,
Mhm.
So, do you think we focus on wealthy Black immigrants or more than poor refugees from places like Sierra Leone, Somalia, Nigeria, etc.?
It would have to be wealthy because I think that the wealthy are put more into the limelight, put more into like advocated more in the media.
Okay.
You see more of the wealthy on social media. Like
Mm.
I feel like when we interact with a lot of Black immigrants on social media, they probably do have some sort of money or success. In my opinion, that's what I see
Okay.
when I'm presented with Black immigrants. I see a lot of successful Black immigrants like that I come across. I don't really come in contact with Black refugees or ones that aren't where they want to be.
Right. Okay. Yeah, I could say I know for me, most of the immigrants that I've met have been um, came over here by choice, very successful in whatever their endeavors. Now, that's like I said, that's just my small anecdotal experience. So I don't pretend to speak for everybody, but that's just that's what I've seen. Now, circling back a little bit to ADOS, would you say ADOS is a lineage or an advocacy group?
So the ADOS is a advocacy group.
Okay.
ADOS in itself, the organization ADOS, because we do advocate for reparations, but a lot of Black Americans don't know about the organization ADOS. It's not really talked about on a in the mainstream media on a large scale. I would love for it to be talked about, but a lot of people don't bring up the advocacy group ADOS. Um, but there are a lot of Black Americans in this country. They just don't know about FBA, the groups FBA or ADOS, but
Okay.
they exist.
Right. And so on to the next question, which was correlated. I mean, do you see a difference between ADOS and FBA?
Mhm. The only difference is the leadership. They're all Black Americans. We're all Black Americans.
Okay.
So,
And that's what I was going to ask.
and when it comes to that, I don't care about what I don't care. Like I really don't. At the end of the day, I'm for Black Americans getting reparations, and I'm for Black Americans getting what's owed to us, and getting the recognition that we deserve. So I don't care about the petty arguments and fights that the leaders are. All respect to Miss Yvette, if she's watching this, all respect to you, but I really don't care about the petty arguments. You just have to put that aside. If you say that you're a leader, you have to put that aside and come together and advocate for your people, and that's just that.
Okay. So until now was going to be my next question. If you were familiar with, I guess, the contention between both groups, between Tariq
Yes.
and that
And
Carnell.
Tariq Nishi doesn't like me because
Oh,
for a
okay.
time, when I'm more progressed when it comes to my views, my conservative views. I still identify as conservative, but some opinions of mine have changed. And
Okay.
so I came in contact with Tariq Nasheed in the beginning of my kind of coming out as conservative phase.
Hmm.
And I followed a lot of the mainstream conservative black conservatives who give black conservatives a bad rep. So I was spewing a lot of those talking points at the time. And when I came in contact with Tariq, I had both flags in my bio.
Okay.
So he thought I was an immigrant. I'm not an immigrant. I mean, my dad is an immigrant, but I was born and raised here, you know. He thought I was an immigrant, and a lot of his followers don't like me. A lot of FBA doesn't like me because they think that I'm against Black Americans, and which is like no. And they think that some think that because I'm half Jamaican that I don't qualify to be Black American. Basically, like some have called me a first generation immigrant, and it's just like, well, I mean, I don't really know the term behind that. Plus, again, I was raised in Black American culture, specifically Black church culture on my mom's side. So it's
So you
like,
like,
yes, I am half Jamaican, but I'm not really, other than the food and the music, I'm not really used to that culture. I'm used to Black American culture. So yeah, that's like a little backdrop. Tariq doesn't like me because of that kind of stuff, which is just like, I don't care.
to, okay. And so you're saying, just I want to make sure I'm clear. And you're saying one of the primary reasons is because of your father who is a Jamaican.
That was
So
one of the reasons, but another reason which I could kind of understand why he reacted the way he did, because I was spewing a lot of conservative talking points that I talk against now. I was in the baby stages of I've always okay. I'm gonna say this. I grew up conservative. I grew up with conservative values, but I didn't really start speaking out for those until summer 2018. So when I was a baby, I would say a baby in the conservative movement, I was
mhm.
following after a lot of mainstream Black conservatives who don't have the Black community's best interests at heart. And I still had a good heart concerning conservatism, Black conservatism, and all of that, but those were the only type of Black conservatives that I had examples of. So I was kind of following after their talking points. And a lot of their
Okay.
talking points are really toxic at times when it comes to the Black community. Um, so I can understand why he reacted the way he did, but I have kind of developed in my thinking. I'm a
Okay.
pro-Black conservative. I love my people, you know. I'm not against my people, so I pretty much changed a little bit from that. But that's kind of the reason that he doesn't like me, because I was stating a lot of talking points, and then when he sees sometimes when he sees people that have both the flags in their bio and they're stating the talking points, he's like, okay, that's why, because she's an immigrant or whatever. So yeah.
Okay. I've always wondered, and then I'll get to the question real quick. What when I just this idea of conservative, because I think it's thrown around a lot, and sometimes when I listen to different people who identify as that, sometimes I feel like they don't always have the same, they don't always share the same ideology. So what would you say as a conservative? What is it that you're trying to conserve exactly?
I'm not really trying to conserve anything. For me, conservatism is based on values. It has nothing to do with party. So I
Okay.
believe that a lot of Black Americans are historically conservative, as in we uplift God, we uplift family, we are hardworking, we are not dependent on government. That's how a lot of us grew up,
Okay. Okay.
and especially in the beginning, that's how a lot of us, you know, that's how we were raised. So it's just like there are Black people who are conservative who might not vote Republican, who like a lot of Black people in the church, they're conservative but they vote Democrat, which I don't agree with. But I'm not gonna get on anybody. I'm gonna get on you, but I'm not gonna like say, oh, you're not my brother, you're not my sister because you vote Democrat. I'm not gonna do that. But there are a lot of those examples of Black conservatives who vote for another party or who don't vote at all or who vote independent. Just a lot of, you know, we're not a monolith. Black people, we're not a monolith. So just is a whole bunch of differences in the community,
Okay.
which is fine.
Okay, so you're saying for you, conservative, it's more about, I guess, socially when it comes to maybe
Values, yes.
values. Okay, not
Because
necessarily.
there are a lot of Republicans who are not, they're not conservative, especially with their lifestyle.
Yeah.
No, 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 no. You're not conservative. I'm sorry. No. Mm-mm.
Okay. Interesting. Interesting. Now, if you were on here, please get those likes up, tag anybody, or share it with someone you think may find it interesting. I'm so happy to be having this conversation with the lovely special guest, Miss Charisse Lane. I do want to spend a few moments to make sure I get the super chats. I see Ramesses7. Thank you for the $5. I see. Okay, So it says that's a lie. A lot of these Black immigrants come over and classify as white. Look at Kamala and others.
Yikes.
What do you have to say to that?
In her case, yeah, she didn't start saying she was Black until she ran for president. So I don't even consider sis Black. And I really don't mean to get technical, but sometimes I believe that one drop rule is dumb because from what I understand, her dad is mixed as well. Her mom is full blown Indian, so she was always claiming to be Indian
Right.
until she ran for president. Then it's, oh, sister girl act, I'm Black. Oh, I'm an AKA. I went to Howard.
Right.
It's like,
Black.
okay, there are white people in the Divine Nine sororities and fraternities, and there are white people who go to HBCUs. Are they Black? No.
Right. Well, I mean, I
So
would think now I don't have the numbers of this, so I can't say either or, but I'm thinking anybody who classifies as white has to actually be able to look the part. 9 times out of
yeah,
10, if you're coming over from Nigeria, right, or you're coming over from Sudan, you can put white all you want. Like I said, the police finds you, somebody looks at you, you go to white community, they're going to tell you real quick how you're classified. So,
I would
um,
say it's more of like it's more of immigrants who aren't of Black descent, African descent, who classify as white, like a lot of Hispanic people,
Hispanics, yeah, I've
or
heard of that. Yeah, Hispanic
yeah, those are the main ones, and a lot of Asians would sometimes
will
identify
classify,
as
yes.
white as well. Which Kamala, she's Asian, India is part of Asia, so I wouldn't be surprised if she did on documents classify as white.
Yeah, I've heard that there are many immigrants who come over, and if they actually can, they can get away with it, they will, because we already know, whiteness is its own, it has its own benefit socially when it comes to certain things in the system. So, but like I said, that's going to be harder from somebody of most people of African descent to do, just based upon how they look. Um, so okay, on to the next super chat. Shout out to Omawali Africa. Thanks for stopping by. I see everyone should be given space and grace to grow. I don't like the cult-like nature and bullying of certain aspects of this movement. Yes, I agree. Like I said, I am newer, I guess, to really understand this space and understanding, I guess, all the beef that happens, for lack of a better term, when it comes to these kind of different discussions. But my goal here is not to make anyone feel alienated. We're just having a discussion. I'm just here to hear your thoughts. Like I said, this is not a pass or fail grade. I'm just here to hear your thoughts, and then in a few minutes I'll let people come in and share theirs. So
I'm gonna say this. I'm a
yeah.
Wally. Hi. First of all, hi. Thank you for having me on your show again.
Mhm.
I would say that I don't like beef when it comes to Black people, the Black community in general. I don't like the diaspora wars. Okay, the only way I'll pop off is if you disrespect me, which is what I did with that girl on my pinned tweet, because she was just out of line. So you disrespect me, I'm gonna disrespect you, which that's not really Christian either, because I am a Christian. So let me not say that. Lord help me. He's helping me with that,
Work in
because I
progress.
know you're not supposed to get back. I know you're supposed to turn the other cheek, but from the culture I come from, yeah, I'm gonna clap back sometimes. I'm sorry. So, but other than that, I don't like the diaspora wars. Let's help each other out. Let's do right by each other. Let's not have any other racial group come and discriminate against us. It's just that you respect me, I'm gonna respect you. Plain and simple, and that's how it should be.
Yeah, no, I hear you. I hear you on wanting to live by godly principles and sometimes being tempted to break code. So, like I said, we're all a work in progress. Shout out to Kay Renee for the 5 on the super chat. Also, just shout out to Percy. You wouldn't like me if I'm angry for the 20 on the super chat. Let's see. Oh, I want to make sure I read his comment. I see. Okay. In my opinion, I don't see any problems with the immigrant Black American. When their feet touch American soil, they hit the ground running. But a lot of them I met don't identify with the American Black American. I will also say, and like I said, I don't pretend to speak for every Black immigrant, but I remember because actually was I dated one in the past. I remember he was telling me that when he came over, how like there was just like a lot of beef basically, and there are different Black immigrants that he knew who came over for work or whatever who were just like, oh yeah, we don't really mess with Black Americans or just Black Americans like that. We kind of keep to ourselves. And I remember us having that discussion how like in certain areas, I don't know if it was just certain areas in the country or just certain communities where it's like Black Africans weren't even messing with Black Americans like that. And I found that interesting because that wasn't necessarily my experience. But you know, he was in a different state. So like I said, I don't know if some of this stuff is like regional. So
I would say my experience is I'm from Florida, so there are a lot of Black immigrants
yeah.
here. Uh I don't want to put my business out there, but I am dating someone who is Haitian. So, anyways,
But you're like,
I
I'm gonna put my business out there, but
so it's just like
all good.
I had to make sure first of all that he understood the plight of Black Americans, which he did, and he actually gave me the book by Dr. Claude Anderson to read on Powernomics. So that's kind of what attracted me to him, that he understands the plight of Black Americans. He considers himself a Black man, not just like a Haitian man. He considered himself a Black man, and he knows about Dr. Claude Anderson, which is like, okay, like you understand me, like you understand my culture, you understand what I was raised in, and that's what I want for our people. That's what I want for everybody in the Black diaspora. You know, show respect to the person that you're interested in. Show respect to your Black brother, your Black sister. That's how it should be.
Right. Listen, you better put it out there that you're taking a roast. You're gonna have some creepers in your inbox. So
This just happened too. Like it's really new, so that's why I'm over here blushing and stuff because it
I
was
see.
unexpected. But we're not going to talk about all of that.
Yeah, that's another conversation.
Yes.
Again, if you're on here, get those likes up, tag anybody on this discussion you think may find it interesting. So kind of on that note, what is your view of the data that shows that Black Americans and Black immigrants have similar levels of wealth and property ownership?
You said, what is my view of that?
Yeah. What are your thoughts on that idea that, you know, Black Americans and Africans essentially, as far as where they're at economically, wealth, property, it's pretty similar.
I mean, I, I don't really have really a view on that. That's kind of cool to hear. I just know that we need to help each other out more concerning all of that, because we, at the end of the day, we do have different cultures,
Mhm.
but also we're Black, you know,
Right.
same hair, same, you know, not really same skin tone, not all around, but come on, we're all Black at the end of the day. Different cultures, different upbringings, but we're all Black. So I think that we should. I'm not a Pan African, okay, but I do think that we should help each other out in some way, no matter if you're from Nigeria, Jamaica, United States.
Hmm.
If you're Black, we should be helping each other out in any way that we can.
Absolutely. No, that actually makes sense. One, it's interesting you mentioned um, Pan-Afrikanism because that kind of brings into another point. So, question. So, you know, reparations started with the Pan-Africanist movement. Prince Hall helped Belinda Sutton and Ashanti women pass the first successful reparations policy. So, in your opinion, why do so many online reparations advocates attack Pan-Africanism, African identity, when that was kind of tied to the movements that are going on right now, which is fighting for reparations?
I would say a lot of them don't think that Pan Africanism is benefiting Black Americans.
Okay.
It's just like a lot of Black Americans believe that we have to, although it is good, like I said, we should help each other out. We're not in the place that we need to be as a community, so we need to focus on us, focus on our problems first, and then kind of spin out into other people in the diaspora. But I think again, I'm not the spokesperson for if anybody who is associated with ADOS FBA is watching, I am not the spokesperson. So if you hear something you don't like, don't come at me, okay? But a lot of them are not for Pan-Africanism because it's just like we have so many problems in the Black American community that we need to get fixed first before focusing on other Black people in the
Okay.
diaspora.
Okay. Right. So you're basically saying, because in your opinion, a lot of people believe that Pan-Africanism hasn't really led to anything positive for the Black community.
The Black American community, like, yeah, like nothing really beneficial to help us, especially economically.
Interesting. Interesting. I posted a few because I've on my community tab, I talked about a few different men who had, Martin Delaney, right? I mean, there's a few different people I've talked to who are essentially Pan-Africanists in their work as far as, helping to end chattel slavery, helping to establish different cities, helping to disestablish different organizations that we have today. Like, just in my own understanding and my own learning, I'm seeing that, like, yeah, there are really key instrumental people in Black America that without their connections to Africa and their American identity, for lack of a better term, like we wouldn't have some of the different opportunities that we have today. So I always find it interesting when these sides are attacked versus understanding that it's like you can't really have one without the other. Like I said, even the idea of reparations and ADOS, again, if we look to the founders of who started that movement, it was Pan-Africanists. It was men who were working with Africa.
Which
Right?
movements?
Huh?
Did they start Pan-Africanists?
Yeah, no, I'm saying like the reparations started with the Pan-Africanist movement. If you look at
And
like
who specifically, so I can look that up.
Prince Hall.
Okay, I'm gonna look that up.
And I have this. I can send you some stuff, but I have actually posted some of this in my community tab, because in my community tab I have like Black history, Black men built that, and just different historical things about different things that Black Americans have done. And I sometimes I'll focus on Black men just because I feel like there's this whole idea right now that Black men don't build that I think is really damaging. But yeah, I don't want to get too sidetracked, but there's quite a few. There's quite a few of them. So,
And I see your moderators mentioning, so I'm gonna look these people up so I can
yeah,
get more
definitely.
educated on this stuff because I've never well, I think I have heard of Prince Hall. I actually live by Prince Hall Park. That's in my neighborhood.
Okay.
But
Yeah, Belinda
I have
said.
never heard of these people. Like I really don't. The only thing I know of Prince Hall is the park by my house.
Well, and
Then that's the Prince Hall.
to be fair, I to this day I have a lot of stuff that I'm learning about, because you're not going to get this stuff at school. Unfortunately, you're not going to get this stuff. Like, you kind of have to go on your own and go under your own. You have to learn on your own, because you're not going to get it really anywhere else. Not in college. Like, they're not making this stuff readily available.
Yeah.
So no fault to your own, and to no fault to a lot of people, that it's like you don't know what you don't know. So,
Right.
so again, if you're on here, please get those likes up, tag anybody on this discussion. So I do want to be mindful, because I wanted to open up the lines for anybody who might want to call in. So I'm going to drop the call line real quick and then ask you another question in the meantime. Let's see.
Y'all just spare me, okay? Like,
like I said, we keep things classy and respectful.
Be nice.
As I mentioned before, I will mention again, you guys are more than welcome to share your opinion. I just ask that you be respectful to the guest, and just respectful, period. That's all I ask. You are welcome to share your opinion. Also keep, cuss words or things to a minimum / non-existent. Like I said, I want this to be a safe platform for people to express their views, and also be respectful, because I think, that's how we learn. I don't pretend to have all the answers. I know you don't pretend to have all the answers. This is not necessarily about being right. I think when we can share our perspective and share what we know, that's how people can actually, I think, learn and evolve and maybe come to better conclusions. So so feel free to call in. In the meantime, okay, let me move. We have quite a few questions. I want to get back here. Okay, so I want to just kind of take a little bit of a diversion to this idea of divesting, specifically because I hear different men online kind of support this idea that divesting in that movement is coming from Black immigrants. So yeah, so it says most major divestors and divestor adjacent content creators, Pink Pill, Cynthia G, Alexis Exodus, Paris Milan, etc., they're Black Americans. In your opinion, why do you think Black men online promote the idea that all, if not many, Black immigrant women swirl? Where do you think that idea comes from?
I think it's because in the Black American community, black women are known for like being down for their men. Like that's just you, in my opinion, in what I've seen, I rarely see Black American women like swirling. So that's probably why. I mean, that's just what they've seen, you know. That's
Okay.
and also because we have social media, you're just gonna see certain stuff.
You are.
You're gonna see certain stuff being promoted. And if that's mainly from Black immigrant women, then it's just like, okay, that's what they're seeing. But no.
I have
They need more, they need to have more, I guess more, they need to go to different communities and have more experiences with different types of people to really see that, okay, that might not be true. But I know for sure, like Black American women, we're known for being down for Black men. Like just that's just like, okay, we Black men, we're gonna hold it down for you.
that's so funny because and this goes back to the fact that there are very many there are like subcultures within Black culture, because I think that's a popular narrative going around there that Black women are mules for Black men. And honestly, I just think
Mules? Who used that term? Oh my goodness.
and part of, like I said, again, part of this has everything to do with the space that you're in. Probably because you're more on the ADOS side of things, the algorithm, the different content you're going to be serving.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like the algorithm, like you're gonna see what you're just
partially
whatever you're surrounded by, whatever you're interested in, that's what you're gonna see on your
right.
timeline.
But I will say, partially because of the space that I'm in, I see, even I'm just looking at some of the most popular YouTube content creators out there and the different things that they are promoting, they're very misandrous. I don't know how else to put it. And there's a lot of money to be made, unfortunately, off of bashing men. This is just in our culture general, off of bashing men, especially Black men. So
now, what is Cynthia G? I want to know, like, is she Black American? Because that's an embarrassment if she is.
I, I don't
think
know her lineage. I think she is. I don't ever remember her saying that any of your parents came. I think she is, but I'm not sure. I'm not totally aware. But yeah, I did a review of her content like maybe a month or two, maybe like 2 months ago.
Yikes.
That was one experience. I'll keep it at that. So yeah, so like I said, those are ideas floating around that Black women are mules out there and therefore they need to just stop and divest and leave. Like there's a whole bunch of different BS. And I think, there's some Black men who are just like, look, we're tired of being the brunt of y'all's jokes. We're tired of being, thrown under the bus, called all these kind of different names. And, you have some saying, hey, this is Black immigrant women coming in and really polluting the minds of Black women. Some are saying, nah, just all women are bad. So it's a revolving conversation or revolving topic, but I just was curious your experience with that idea in general. So it looks like I do have a few callers in. Again, if you guys are on here, get those likes up, tag anybody, share this. Also feel free to share this with somebody if you may find it interesting. Also, you can show support to the show. Find me on Cash App or Venmo, Shay Sharday. Also, I'll be sure to read all super chats that come through. Hello. How's it going?
Hey, can you all hear me?
I can hear you. So okay. What are your thoughts on this topic?
Okay, well, to answer the first question, I think the original question was, do they cause problems? And I was the person, yesterday who was saying I didn't like the question, but full disclosure, I am ADOS, on both sides.
Okay.
No, I generally don't think that immigrants cause problems, and I think that we all know that most immigrants are coming here to make money and to pursue education. It's hard to get a green card in the United States, so most people aren't going to come over here BSing and whatnot. So that whole thing about are they causing problems, that just makes no sense, because even if Black immigrants weren't here, ADOS, we be still be dealing with the same collective
Yeah.
issues due to institutionalized racism. Now, the thing I kind of I'm very pro ADOS too, like Charisse, because I'm ADOS too. But where I kind of disagree with her is she said that kind of like she would want to see more money from them, like people investing in us from an economic side. And I don't think that that's really the issue. I think it's more so I would rather see more of political allyship. I
Okay,
think that's
that's a
what it
good point.
I think that's what it comes down to. It's not like, hey, we're the poor Afro Americans, because like Sade said earlier, like with the article that came out, the median incomes, African immigrants are only $10,000 higher than African Americans' median income. It's like 52,000 to 42,000. So it's not a huge difference. Like neither of us are doing like extremely well compared to Asians who have a $80,000 median income.
Yeah.
So I think that it would be more so like political allyship. I think a lot of ADOS, we feel like a lot of immigrants, they're because they're focused on the American dollar. Most immigrants have a consumption based mindset. And a lot of ADOS can't wrap their head around that, because we're like, hey, it's us versus them. It's us, blackness in any place, against them, the white dominant society. And I be telling ADOS, like, you have to understand, an immigrant who's coming from somewhere in a developing world, politics is just not on their radar. They just don't care. That's just not something that they're thinking about. And I think ADOS wouldn't be so offended by black immigrants behavior if they realize that the first generation, they're only focused on the American dollar. And this is all immigrants, Mexicans, Asians. The first generation cares about the American dollar. That's it.
You make a good point. You make a very good point because the way you get things done in this country is through legislation. So I'm gonna have to agree with you on that as well. I still would think I still think that they should help economically, but definitely legislation, voting. Yes, I agree with you.
Now I'm curious because, and correct me if I'm wrong, when you're saying, you want to see more, I guess, them being more of an ally, is that how is, I guess that would be, how is that different from Pan-Africanism, or those who are trying to build, like, are you saying you want to see them kind of start to build relationships with, other African countries, policies, politics in other African countries to kind of help strengthen the American or the Black American pool? Or are you talking about them just voting in a specific way to make sure that it is in benefit of Black Americans? I guess I want to make sure I understand, what do you mean when you
Yeah.
say
When I say politics, oh, sorry, am I lagging? Oh,
no, you're fine.
okay. When I say politics, I mean as far as supporting African American agendas. So that would be like the ADOS reparation movement. Not being like a Trojan horse and trying to, say, oh, my family was a Black immigrant and we worked hard and we went to school and became doctors. So if it happened for us, it could happen for them. Like being an actual political ally. I feel like if you're not willing to do that as a Black person, as a Black immigrant, you cannot be shocked that ADOS will look at you and align you with white supremacy. Because if you're not helping our agenda, when you came here off the backs of our agenda, you wouldn't be here without ADOS making it possible for Black people everywhere to come here. Then you either support us or you don't. And that's the thing. It's like that's where I would expect support if they want it to not be an adversarial environment, or to help reduce the adversarial environment. But I would say more most of this though is really nonsense, because a lot of ADOS, we have low self-esteem. And so when we see another group that we feel like is avoiding us, because we're not silly, we know that Africans sell their kids to avoid, dating us, and to, stay away from them. They're troublemakers and stuff like that. A lot of Black Americans get, and naturally, understandably offended by that. And then we look at them and say, well, we not cool with them. They don't rock with us. We so used to being looked down upon that we have trouble with seeing somebody else Black doing it. It really hurts our feelings. But what I've tried to tell ADOS is first generation is only focused on the American dollar. They do not care about American history. They don't care about slave descendant history. They don't care about any of that. They don't care about the civil rights movement, even though they're here because of that. I mean, it's just like that's just not an immigrant's focus who come from a developing nation. And I think the sooner we realize that, the sooner we'll realize this is a non-factor. We got too many issues in our own communities. That's why I don't like Tariq Nasheed, because it's too much of a toxic focus on immigrants, and you really don't need to speak on them that much to promote reparations.
Okay, so you're saying, in your opinion, you're saying Black immigrants who come over, they're focusing on the dollar. That's it. They're not necessarily trying to bring institutional change for the Black American plight. They're just like, how can I move forward? Me, myself, and I, my family.
In their family, yes.
Right.
I think that's how a lot of communities are, though.
Right. All immigrants. And that's why I be trying to tell Black people, I'm like, see, Black people, because we've been socialized in this black-white dichotomy, ADOS, we have a hard time looking at another Black person on this soil and not realizing why they don't identify with us. We're like, what is wrong with this dude? Yeah, we know you eat different foods than us, but you got to get on this bandwagon with us. They are the enemy. And if we don't see you looking at them like that, we're gonna align you with whites, and unfortunately, that ends up happening a little bit. But again, it's kind of another reason is silly, is because second generation immigrants, so the children of these immigrants, they end up, and you mentioned this earlier, Sade, they end up facing the same institutional racism that we face. They can't get jobs like us. These white hiring managers, they don't want to hire African or ADOS. They don't want to hire any of us. Second generation, their last name is not going to help them get the job any better than us. So that second generation, they start realizing what's going on, and then they realize like, oh snap, this is what ADOS was talking about. But they're not going to deal with it until their children deal with it. That's the first generation, they're never going to get it. The African parents that still got the accent from Nigeria and Ghana, they're never going to get it. So why focus on them when the second generation who grew up with ADOS, grew up with Americans, went to American schools, so learned American history, learned Black American history, learned that, oh my goodness, what?
And barely even that, because they're not even teaching that in schools.
They're not.
Exactly. So that's what I feel like it's silly focusing on their parents, because they'll never get it. First generation care about the American dollar.
Interesting. Okay. So you're saying they care about, the immigrants care about getting it, whereas your argument is that Black Americans today care about not money, but they care about how to progress and move forward.
Politics, correct.
Politics.
Yeah.
Interesting. All right. So, Charisse, do you have any other thoughts? I want to be mindful of few other callers who are on.
I think she makes some very valid points concerning her perspective, and like she said, a lot of the Black immigrants' children, they're starting to understand like what we mean, especially if you're going to a public school in America, you're just going to get it, period. For me, I went to a private Christian school, predominantly Black owned, so I really didn't experience a lot of the stuff that other kids face in public schools because I learned my Black history in school. We did Black History Month programs, I learned all of that. So, but she makes some very valid points concerning, especially like Black immigrants' children and them seeing like, okay, I think they're right when it comes to certain stuff and the way that the system is set up in America. Yes.
Interesting. All right. Well, thank you for calling on and sharing your perspective.
Thanks.
Yeah. Interesting points. If you were on here, please get those likes up. Also, shout out to Chantel, Simone for being here. Always a pleasure to have you stop by. We are talking about Black immigrants and whether or not they are the problem in Black America. So I want to move on to the next caller. How's it going, Hakeem?
Hey, Sister Sade, how are you?
Good. So what you got in the topic?
Hey, I wanted to say hi to you and then our Jamaican sister. How you doing?
Hi.
You know why I say Jamaican sister?
Yes, I do.
Okay, because most people, when you define lineage, especially when you're a mixed ethnic background, they take it by your dad's
I've had
where your
some
dad's from.
FBA people say that I'm not Black American because my dad is Jamaican, and they say it goes by your dad's side. But again, my thing is I wasn't raised on my dad's side. I was raised with my mom's side, so it's really
Mhm.
hard for like I'm not saying I'm not Jamaican, but it's really hard for me to get involved in the culture or learn it because I didn't grow up in it. But I don't have a
Okay.
problem with you calling me Jamaican. Just know that I'm both. I'm both ADOS and Jamaican as well.
Okay.
But
But
I have no problem with that.
yeah, no worries. I just had to troll you there for a little bit with that. That's going to be the,
That was
whatnot.
pro.
You're not the only one that told me that, so it's okay.
But the funny thing about it, real quick, the funny thing about it is, I just think just in Black culture in general, we can have all these different delineations and all these subcultures and all these subcategories. But at the end of the day, the dominant culture is looking at us like we're Black. They don't care where we're from, but just like, you're Black and therefore you're going to be treated accordingly. It don't matter where you're from. So I think it's always good to keep that in mind of just like, no matter what our cultural context is, or, whatever, we're going home and we're eating oxtail stew or eating.
I've never made oxtails. I'm sorry. I want to learn, but I've never made oxtails. Somebody said Charisse makes some delicious oxtails and jerk chicken. I've never made either. I'm so sorry.
I've made oxtails. I want to learn about jerk chicken. But I'm saying either way, we go out and we're still experiencing the same thing. We're still experiencing the same, still experiencing the same discrimination when it comes to getting loans for homes or, getting harassed in certain places. Like, we still have that same shared experience. So, yeah, that's just my little 2 cents. But what did you want to add, Hakeem?
Okay, so I think, is this Charisse?
Yes.
Okay, so what made you? When did you first know or come into contact with ADOS, the movement or the matter? What was the lightning rod to get you to
right?
join forces?
After being scolded by Tariq Nasheed, he's FBA, but after being scolded by him, I wanted to know why was he so upset when I was kind of spewing a lot of conservative talking points, and I had both flags in my bio at the time. Then I took it out, and now it's back in because, anyways, I'm gonna talk about that another day. But I wanted to know why he was so upset and the reasoning behind it, and then that's when I found Yvette Carnell and ADOS, and I'm like, okay, I think I'm starting to understand. And at the time, I wasn't for reparations as well, but learning more of my history, Black American history, and like I said, I went to a private Black private Christian school, and they taught us Black American history. It's Black owned, Black American owned. So, but I wasn't really for reparations until I came in contact with him, until he scolded me for my views, and that's when I'm like, okay. Twitter is like the main reason why how I came in contact with ADOS and the advocacy group in reparations.
Okay. So in what year would you say that was about?
He scolded me summer. What was it?
Scolded you?
Hold on.
That's deep.
It was summer 2019. He scolded me. Yeah, scolded because he made a whole like YouTube channel, called me a dusty bummy immigrant Negro and everything. And I'm just like, I don't even know who this man is, child. I'm not no immigrant. That was the first time somebody has ever called me immigrant. I'm just like, okay.
Wow.
But summer 2019, he scolded me, and by 2020, when everything started to pop off with George Floyd and Ahmaud Arbery, that's when I was like, okay, yeah.
Okay. So basically, let's just say that your mom was Jamaican as well, or anywhere in the other parts of the Caribbean for that matter, and he scolded you in such a fashion. What, I guess,
you said quoted me like in such
scolded.
Scolded? Oh.
Yeah. So let's just say your mom was Caribbean as well, and you had no claim to even join ADOS or what have you. What do you think your approach would have been at that point, basically?
You're
because it seems
approach for what?
Yeah, you're sounding kind of muffled, Hakeem.
Is it still muffled?
Okay, let's.
How about now?
Okay, let's see how it is now.
Okay. I'm good.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry about that.
No problem.
So let's just say your mom was Caribbean as well, and you had because it seems like basically you're saying that Tariq is the one through teasing, which that's one thing or another,
kind of
is
introduced
the
me
one
to
that
everything. Yes.
which is an interesting way to kind of be.
Yeah,
but I
I
guess
didn't
the
expect it to happen, but yeah.
okay. So what my point is that let's just say both of your parents were Caribbean, and you couldn't join the ADOS movement. Don't you agree that you wouldn't have been able to join?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
You might
Now,
have
do you?
support. You can support, but it's like
So
At that point, you maybe would have been.
You can't really identify as ADOS.
mhm. So basically, even if you wanted to the best of your ability to join and support and help them,
it's like okay, maybe you can join, but you can't identify as ADOS. Like I'm trying to understand what you're saying, but I don't think I'm getting the gist of what you're saying.
What
like,
I'm
of course,
speaking.
we want the support. We want the support from Black immigrants. We want the support, but it's like you can't say I'm ADOS or identify as ADOS. Hopefully, I'm answering your question right.
No, because my point is that you're able to join. You wouldn't be able to join FBA from what my understanding is because he draws the line quite hardly clear as far as both your parents have to have lineage. And he even goes, in fact, to roast those and he calls them tethers. So he would have called someone like you a tether, basically, for something that is out of your control.
I mean,
because
he did it. He became an immigrant.
Yeah, but this is the point I'm getting to. You made a point that immigrants and others should join the cause as far as supporting ADOS politically. And then the monetary thing, I think the previous caller proved right why we can't, those can't really do that. But the point I'm making is that how can you expect immigrants, doesn't matter where they're from, because again, it's this whole them versus us. How would you be able to expect them to join if all they're getting is pushback from not only Yvette, but Tariq on things themselves may not be doing?
I wouldn't. It's a good point. I wouldn't. But like I said in the beginning, that petty stuff coming from them, stupid. Like no disrespect to Miss Yvette. Okay, that petty stuff. I identify with her advocacy group ADOS, but
okay,
showing disrespect if you don't get disrespect in return is just dumb because that's not solving anything.
Yeah, because what Tariq does, and I'll make this quick, and because I see our sister Chantel on here as well, so I won't take you guys' time. But
hey guys, hey panel.
Hey.
Yeah, so what Tariq does, and even sometimes what Yvette does, is they make false equivalency arguments. They make this sweeping statement arguments. Because someone like myself, I'm a logical person. A lot of this stuff, you came on this panel with very good intent. You weren't spouting any rhetorics. And that's why many of us could listen to someone like you, because it seems that most of the pundits, they mostly tend to be males from the ADOS camp. There's not that was the one thing I didn't understand, that there didn't seem to be many female ADOS pundits, which may be a whole nother thing. But the whole point being is
ADOS was started by Yvette, so she's female, but FBA is Tariq. Like,
but she's one female. But she's one female, and then she also started with Tone Talk. But the point being is that
there's a lot of females though. I understand what you're saying, but there are a lot of females though who do identify as ADOS.
I'm actually
like a part of that advocacy group,
I'm curious really quick because now correct me if I'm wrong. Tariq Nasheed's wife has if I'm not mistaken, she's a white mother, right? His wife is mixed.
She's half FBA, half white American.
So if you have a white lineage, so having a white lineage does not discredit you, or that doesn't discredit you from being a part of the movement? If that's considered,
I don't know, but I feel like some of them treat me like I'm mixed, and I'm not mixed. I just have mixed ethnicity or lineage when it comes to the Black diaspora. But I feel like some of them at certain times I bump heads with a lot of people, specifically in FBA. the FBA movement because
Okay.
they don't consider me FBA because I'm only half.
But I'm
And
like,
so I
his
feel
wife
like sometimes I feel like I'm mixed. Yeah, but
so okay. So I guess I don't know. Maybe this is somebody else can speak to it. You can be, if you're FBA, you can be half white and be FBA, but you can't be half another Black person and be FBA. Like you can't be from the Caribbean or Africa or have African ancestry that's not from America. But if you have European ancestry, you can still join FBA. I want to make sure I'm understanding.
I don't think that's the case when it comes to how everybody thinks.
Okay.
I think more so people want you to stay on code and advocate for Black Americans, like basically stay on code with that. Don't put down Black Americans. But I guess they see some people. I guess they see examples of some people who are half FBA or half another part of the black diaspora. They don't do that. So then they're just like, okay, well we're gonna try to stay away from everybody who is only half. Like
Okay.
I don't want to say, I'm gonna say her married name because I don't like to give credit to her. But Mrs. Farmer, from my understanding, she's half Black American, half I think her other side is from St. Thomas or something, and she made a tweet basically like saying, why aren't Black Americans doing as good as Black immigrants, and basically putting out Black Americans. I guess they're like that example. They just want to stay away from people. They just want to stay away from a lot of people who are half and half because they don't know who's on code and who's not.
But here's the point. I think I'll make this. I keep saying this, but the point is that the danger of what you're part of is you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. When you get out, if you get out of line, and if they go back and find tweets and they really want to go there, not that you will have it because you were raised by African Americans, which is fine.
They've done that.
No, but allow me to say this point though.
They went and found
so
tweets.
So the slippery slope is that when they see fit, they pull that out of thin air. And it could be for any reason whatsoever. And when they see fit, they'll mention that. But they're only vocal in mentioning that when it's a half immigrant. They don't do it when it's logical, when someone has a white parent, Hispanic parent, or what so have you. And we've seen many, not just in celebrities or what so have you, but we see I guess that's the thing we're getting at. There's the contradiction when it suits them. And this whole thing with lineage.
I'm gonna have to agree with you.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna have to agree with you because it has happened to me. They have brought up screenshots. Oh, because I'm conservative as well. And I voted for the last president, so they brought up screenshots. Oh, here's a picture of her with Trump. Oh, she's a coon. Da da da. And because she's half FBA, half Jamaican. And that's happened to me, and I have to agree. But I don't care. Like, I really don't care. At the end of the day, I'm gonna stand up for my people regardless, even if you do pull up screenshots or not. Those who understand what I'm for, they're gonna understand, and those who aren't, fine.
Right. Okay.
It,
but
it
yeah,
is what it is for me at this point.
Yeah, I'm not gonna hold you guys over. I'll let our sis Chantel. But thanks for having me up, Sade. It's always a pleasure.
Thank you, Hakeem. Always a pleasure. Always a pleasure. Hey, Chantel.
Right.
Hey guys. Hey, I'm so sorry. I can't see your name. Charisse. Nice to meet you. I've seen you on
Let me fix
my camera. I've seen you on Sade's platform before, but we've never officially met. It's nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
As you guys were talking just now, I don't know if I'm qualified for this conversation.
Well, I think you are.
I wasn't even aware that someone recently came up with the term ADOS. I thought it was just something that was always and forever here. But Sade, I'm sorry, I forget your name again. Please remind me. One last. Charisse, I'll remember it. Yes. Charisse, you mentioned that it was recently someone came up with the term ADOS.
To specifically identify what Black American is, because I guess some people get confused sometimes when you have people of African descent come to America. If they're they're identified as Black, they're gonna say I'm Black American. But when we say Black American, we mean American descendants of slaves. Like, we don't mean you're still Black, but we don't mean, okay, you come over here, you're from Nigeria, that you're and American descendant
Yeah.
slave. You know, there's a difference. You're still
Mhm.
black, but there is a difference.
Yeah,
And I
and it's
guess some people get confused on that difference.
yeah, it's understandable. I called up because I went back because I didn't want to jump into a conversation and be so lost and distract. So I went back to earlier when you were talking about God, it's gonna slip me. You mentioned that your dad is Jamaican and oh, it slipped me. But let me
He's
let
from
me go
Spanish
back
Town. I've never been, so.
to But someone left a comment
And I
that
have a
said,
cousin. I don't know if you know her, but I have a cousin over there who's. I'm sorry, I don't know if you know her, but I have a cousin over there who's in Jamaican Parliament, Lisa Hannah. I just found
"Oh,
out she's my
nice,
cousin.
that's your
So if you
cousin."
know her,
Oh, okay,
yes,
yeah. She was
on my
Miss
dad's side,
Jamaica. She was Miss
yes.
Jamaica in 2000. I'm
She
sorry,
was Miss
19.
USA 1993
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
or 94,
Um,
one of those.
but somebody in the
Miss
comments
World, I
said
mean,
that,
not Miss USA, but
yeah,
yeah.
somebody in the comments. Is there a delay?
There might be. We might need to talk
I
slowly.
think.
Yeah, yeah, I think there's a delay. But someone in the comments said that this beef is petty nonsense and it's a distraction, and which I agree, because even in just hearing you guys talk, and you were talking to the previous caller and saying that they tried to they screenshot of you with the previous president trying to discredit you. It is just a distraction because you're speaking against the echo chamber. You're speaking against the common narrative. So they're fighting and digging for any possible way to discredit you. And that's what they do with my channel too. Because I mean, it's obvious that I'm not ADOS. It's obvious that I have an accent. I was born and raised in Jamaica. And when I started my channel in talking about issues in the Black community, a lot of people jumped on and said, "Oh, you're not ADOS, you can't talk." But it's like it's that narrow-mindedness of thinking that we're the ADOS is the only group of Black people that go through what they're going through, or that it's affected by the slavery movement and everything that you guys were affected by. Not to take any credit, or not to dim anything that you ADOS people, because I think especially being Jamaican and having a lot of revolution, and it was different for us. Let's just say it was different for us. We don't have to deal with racism to the extent that ADOS have to deal with it. So not to say that we're equal in terms of what we went through, but it's significant too. I remember the point that I wanted to touch on, unless you guys wanted to say something to that.
Well,
Yeah.
can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I didn't want to really say something to your point, more so to a comment that was brought up. Y'all have to stop. Y'all have to stop saying if only one of my parents is FBA, then I'm not FBA. I'm sorry. No. You are not going to deny me my heritage, okay? I'm both Black American and I'm Jamaican. I'm both. You can't deny me that. Just because one of my parents is not Black American don't mean I'm not Black American. Okay, that's all I had to say. I had to nip that in the bud because I'm not about to let anybody deny me of my heritage. That's just out of line. And I really don't like when some FBA people do that. Just really aggravating. But yeah.
And to be honest, Jamaicans do that too. I think
I've had
everybody
some do
does.
that to me as well. I've
Yeah,
had some.
because you're only half Jamaican, so it's like, oh, she's not real Jamaican. And as you're sharing that, ADOS do that. I think it's because we're in like this, like naturally, we're wired to be in this community, like this tribal. So it's like, are you a part of us? No, you're an outsider, so you're not fully one of us, which we don't realize it's doing more harm than good. And somebody mentioned Marcus Garvey in the chat, and I love when we talk about him, because Marcus Garvey, being a Jamaican, was influential in the civil rights movement in America. So it's like, what if Marcus Garvey was like, "No, I'm not doing anything," or what if Americans were like, "Nah, he's not one of us. He can't help us with this." We need to get out of this box that we're in and realize that we're all Black. We're all Black people. So as you said earlier, when I went back to watch, you said, if a Black Jamaican or you use the Nigerian, say if a Black Nigerian apply for a job and as ADOS apply for a job, like they're still black on
That's
the
what I'm
paper,
saying. That's what I
their last
right.
name isn't going to change any. And let's bring it to the police brutality. Cops don't pull you over and
Mm.
say, hey, are you ADOS or are you Jamaican? Okay, move on. They see you as black. So once we can get out of this division, then we will never get to a point of actually working together. And I think that's a lot of black people in general, both in the islands and in America. I think that's our issue. It's learning how to work together so we can team up and be better, instead of saying like, yeah, no, what's your title, where were you born?
I
That
don't know when that's gonna
division,
happen. I don't even
well,
know.
and to your point, that because like you said, you made Marcus Garvey, right? Warren Delaney, Edward Blyton. Like there's a lot of people historically that have made huge impact to America that can trace their ancestry, can trace maybe even their parents to the continent of Africa or the Caribbean or whatever. And at the end of the day, let's just say both of your parents are ADOS, right? Black American or whatever. Then the beef becomes, oh, well, dark skin versus brown skin versus light skin. Right. And then once you've decided, okay, well, I'm brown skin or I'm light skin, now the beef becomes, oh, well, texturism, colorism, you know what I mean? Or your hair. Then it becomes, oh, well, black men only like women that are, yellow bone. And like, I mean, the division continues on every single level. So it's like at a certain point, I'm just like, I wonder, is the issue really that like we agree ideologically, or is it just certain people are just looking for reasons to divide? Like, is there just like a spirit of division where it doesn't matter what happens, if you are from the same lineage, come from the same town, same country, you're gonna have some reason to bicker, whether it's, oh, well, I'm on the left side of the street, you're on the right side of the street, so we can't, you know what I mean? Because I feel like some people are just looking for a reason to fight and divide.
And I read a study on that back, like when I was in college, how it's wired in us to be tribal. It's wired in us to find that reason to divide us. But it's like, as Black people, no matter what country you're from, it's doing us more harm than good, because that division within ourselves, it's like,
right,
it's doing us more harm. Like, come on. And we can talk about the gender war that's going on. Like, damn, we even dividing in the household, where it's like, come on, let's stop with that whole you're not this, you're not that. I think you wanted to say something, Charisse.
Oh, I was gonna say I'm just tired. I'm really tired. Like I'm pretty young. I'm 22, and I'm already tired of all of this. Like I'm just exhausted. Like when is all of this division gonna end? I really don't understand. But of course, people who want to stay in their ignorance, they're gonna stay in it. And you can't change anything about that.
right,
We just can't. Like we just can't change people's minds, honestly.
right,
Only
right.
they can change their minds if they want to.
Right. No, I hear
That's
you.
all I have to
I
say.
hear you. That's all you got to say. Well, I got two more. I want to be mindful of time. I got two more. Chantel, you're free to stay on, but I have a few people in the call line, so I'm trying to be mindful of time and make sure everybody can get their little 2 cents in. But I do, yeah, like I said, I agree with you where it's like, I made a video about this earlier today where it's like I was speaking more to the colorism, texturism, biracial argument, right? People saying that biracial or mixed women aren't Black. And my thing is, we as Black folks can try to delineate, or we can try to separate all we want, but at the end of the day, the dominant society is the one that chooses. You know what I mean? Like how they treat us. A racist white person is not looking at a light-skinned woman and being like, oh, well, technically she's light-skinned, so I'm not gonna lock her up. Or, oh, technically, well, he has 3A hair. They're looking at you, they're like, you ain't white, then you going to jail. You know what I mean? Like that's people who are in that mindset. Mm-hmm. So some of the stuff to me, like, I don't know that it always, I think it does more harm than good. Not to say that people do have different experiences. Obviously, a lighter skinned person is going to have a different experience than a darker skinned within reason, but not to the point to where it's like, oh, we got to completely separate. It's like you're still going to be classified as a Black person, period.
And I just want to add, I can't stay on too long, but I just want to add it comes from us as a society leading with our emotions too much. It's like looking at, oh, she's more licensed, oh well, she's this. It's like that's like an emotional thinking. Like, where's our logic? Where's our, okay, it doesn't matter if she's licensed, it doesn't matter if half of her is ADOS and half is Jamaican. What is she saying, and is the message that she's saying impactful and can change
Yeah.
changes? Charisse, I know you're exhausted. Trust me, this is exhausting to have to deal with so many ignorant people. But it's just like, if you know you're coming from a genuine place and your goal is to, spread the message, to see change, to hopefully see change in our community. I don't know much about you, but the fact that you mentioned that you voted for our last president says a lot, says enough, because you're willing to go outside the echo chamber. So I think someone like you, who is willing to go outside the echo chamber and be vocal with it, is definitely, like, you are a plus. You're needed in these spaces. So I know you exhausted, but girl, you're
Thank
gonna
you.
have to practice how to ignore them and just say, okay.
I say, listen, if they ain't sending you no money or no super chat, try not to take it seriously. I'm trying to reserve
I'm
the
definitely
right.
not making no money from this.
Right.
Definitely not.
Like, you're not paying me, so I don't, like, you're not gonna ruin my day. Like, you don't pay me to be you know what I mean, disgruntled. So I hear you. But thank you for Truth Taylor, I see you're here. And like I said, Chantel, feel free to hang out, or if you gotta go, I totally get it.
I gotta go. Thank you, Sade, for having me on. I see somebody in the comment put Seminole Nation. I don't know if they're trying to talk about, but I'm gonna just leave with Go Gators. I don't know if it was an FXU job or so. I don't know. Like, I don't know. Maybe that's over my head. But I'm thinking UF versus FSU. So I'm gonna just leave with that. I'm Charisse. It was really nice to meet you officially. And
Nice to meet you.
Sade, thank you for having me on.
Always. If you're here, please get those likes, tag anybody on this discussion, share it with anybody you think may find it interesting. Also, please feel free to send in your super chat. I'll be sure to read all super chats that come through. And you can also find me on Cash App or Venmo, Shay Sade. So, Truth Taylor, what you got?
Hey, ladies. Good evening. Nice show, by the way. Enjoying it. There's a few things that you guys were saying earlier that actually aren't truthful. So the whole FBA thing, you are FBA if one of your parents can trace their lineage back to back to American slaves or foundational Black Americans, meaning the folks that were here before the slave trade started.
Okay.
I myself, my father is Jamaican, and my mother is FBA, and her lineage has
just
been
like me.
Yeah, like you. Yeah.
Yep. So I'm quite aware of it. I think what the problem is, so the whole Tariq Nasheed thing, the conversation, it happened because he was having a conversation for FBAs regarding immigration. And we had some African folks step into that conversation, and then everything blew up. So it wasn't specifically about Africans. It wasn't anything of that nature. It was immigration. Has it benefited Black Americans is what the conversation was. And it turned into this. There's a few things I do have a problem with that when we talk about our Black immigrants. First and foremost, we all want to consider ourselves Black, but that's relatively new. African Americans came up with the delegation of being Black in the 70s. Most other Black people across the world did not agree with that or count themselves as that. There are African tribes to this day that don't consider themselves Black. Some of them we heard on the phone call with Tariq Nasheed. So I want you guys to understand, when now everybody's saying we're all Black, that wasn't the same thing a few decades ago. The only people who don't exhibit tribalism are African Americans. We all assumed that we were all the same, so we would want our brothers to come into the country. African Americans fought for immigration because we thought we would be helping our brothers, we would be helping ourselves. But everybody doesn't see it that way. So tribalism falls on one side of the fence, not on this side of the fence. Now the conversation has come up with African Americans saying, hey, you know what? Since everybody has been treating us a certain way, maybe we should have our own tribe at this point. And everything went haywire when people said that. When foundational Black Americans want to designate themselves differently from other Black Americans, suddenly is a problem. And I have a serious issue with that, because it's real funny when, you're Nigerian, you're Jamaican, you're Haitian, Black Americans don't have any culture. I've heard that my whole life.
I've heard that as well.
Yeah, they don't have any culture. You don't have your own language. You don't have this. You don't have that. Yet, all the benefits that Black immigrants experience in this country were on our backs. I have a very serious problem with that. So when we talk about it's a distraction, I don't think it's a distraction the way you guys think. It's not both parties that see us separately. That's where the problem is. It's not everybody. We're the only ones that want that Pan-Afrikanism. That's only a thing to us. African Americans are the ones that push that most of the time. You can't get an African nation or a tribe to play into that. And it's understandable. They're tribal. I mean, we get it. We get it now. It's just that African Americans didn't understand that. We all assumed that we were Black, we would support each other. We didn't take into account the tribal stuff. And now when we want to take into account the tribal stuff and say, hey, well, we need to benefit our people because we're kind of getting shitted on, suddenly everybody's going haywire. And that's why I think it's a problem. You can't go to somebody's house and expect them to understand your nature. You're going into their house. You should understand their nature, and then you can communicate what your nature is to them once you're there. You come into somebody's country, you criticize them, you shoot them down, you make up new racial slang words for them. It's crazy. I'm like, why are you guys doing that? You don't want your kids to associate with them. They're all criminals. This, that, and the third. We've all heard it. So I think there is some assessment that needs to be done, but I don't think it's a all assessment thing. There's some folks coming here that there's discussions need to be had with them, and that's kind of where I leave it.
So I just want to make sure I understand your point. So you're basically saying that in your opinion, basically some of the different African immigrants who have come over, they're the ones whom are tribalist. Black Americans are not tribalist.
Yeah. No, we never had a choice to be tribalist. It's always just been us against those folks. You know who they are. We've never had a tribalist thing happening here because it's always just been us. We fought so that we can have Black immigrants come into the country. You guys were talking about Marcus Garvey. I know him very well.
You're cutting up a little bit.
Okay,
sorry. Is this better?
Yes.
Hold on. Sorry, I'm driving too. So
no worries.
Can you guys hear me now?
We can. And also,
what I was saying was Marcus Garvey was supported by African Americans. He wasn't supported by Jamaicans at all.
I thought Marcus Garvey had international alliances in Jamaica and different parts of Africa.
He had international alliances, but Jamaica didn't support him. When he got sent back to Jamaica, take a look at what happened to him. Haile Selassie, some of the similar things. So I don't think as Black people, African American from any other country, we don't take into account the history that was experienced here. Everybody just takes it from the perspective of their own history, which is understandable. Problem is, you can't come here and do that. Just like I can't go there and do that same thing. We can't expect African Americans to just take it to the chin until our African immigrant brothers, come, get it together. That's not feasible. And that's where it's at right now. That's where African Americans are like, okay, hold on. You guys have been saying some stuff about us, which is crazy. I am quite aware of, I have African friends, Jamaican friends, relatives. All of my cousins and relatives, for the most part, were born and raised here, right? So I do have uncles and aunts that are directly from Jamaica. I still got uncles and aunts that are there. But I've heard the complaint about, being disrespected when they come here, right? We've heard the stories because they think African Americans don't like them because they tease them. And I'm thinking to myself, it's ridiculous, because here, that's what we do to each other. So you might get teased about how you talk, how you dress, your language. I might get teased about what kind of shoes I wear, or if I'm buying clothes that pay less, or if I don't have a haircut. So we do it to each other, but they're not used to it. They come here, they get teased, and they think it's something else. And honestly, I understand, because in their country, that kind of interaction is something completely different. But remember, you're coming here. I understand what you understand, your culture in your country, but you're coming to somebody else's culture, and you want to hold them accountable for the rules of your culture. Honestly, to me, that's just disrespectful to begin with. And I have a very serious problem with that. And
I guess to me, what's a little bit unclear, because when you're saying, okay, so immigrants who are coming over and trying to hold Americans accountable to their culture, based upon what? How would you quantify? Like, how do you quantify? Okay, because I guess I'm hearing these different ideas, and it's like, okay, well, how do you qualify? Okay, Black immigrants come over and do this, or they don't do this. How do we know that they're tribalist? I mean, we know, again, as I mentioned before, some of the different advancements that we've seen in America today are due to Black immigrants. Obviously, we know there's also Black Americans who are very responsible for different advancements that we've seen.
So when you come over and you make up a new slur for Black Americans that never existed before, that's a problem. The whole Akata, actually, I've heard there's several others from different African countries. That's a problem, right? Because you're not using it in your country. If you go to those African countries, they don't even know what some of those words are. They're like, I've never heard of that before. I've actually had friends that have told me this. Yeah, those words are not used back there. They make them here when they get here. When you say Black Americans are lazy, when you say to your kids, make sure you don't date a Black American.
That's what white people say, though, right?
I'm sure they do. I'm sure they do. I don't know if we want to correlate white people's opinion of Black people to immigrant Black people to Black people, but okay. Yeah. They do. So that's where it all comes from. So I have African friends, that I've known for years, that don't have these opinions. So the other part of it is, I don't think anybody listens, even when Tariq says it. Hey, I'm not talking about all African. I'm not talking about all of our African brothers and sisters. He says that a lot, but nobody hears that. Nobody talks about him saying, okay, we have rioters. Nobody listens to when we do have Africans call up and support African Americans. Nobody listens to that part of it. They only hear, the garbage talking, the trash talking, and, you feel a certain way. They don't talk about what great things what he talks about, great things Africans are doing. Nobody hears that kind of stuff. They just go on the bad stuff, what they think is bad, I should say.
Well, I think what will be helpful for me is because, as I mentioned before, there's a lot of ideas floating around. Like I said, I've had experiences, you've had experiences. Mm-hmm. I'm trying to get a sense of, okay, what is the data? What is it that we know for sure is happening? Like, as I mentioned before.
What do you mean as far as what context? Employment?
I mean, just if we want to look at employment, how do we know Africans are coming over and making up these terms? How do we know that originated from different African immigrants? And also, real quick, I want to be mindful to Sandra Faye on YouTube. You patiently have been waiting here, so feel free to hop in and have any.
Sure. Jump in, please.
On this topic, because she's been patient.
Okay. Hey y'all, I hope y'all are having a good day, and this is a good conversation. And the part that's very interesting is that we're neglecting the most important part of the conversation. It's not about if you're an immigrant or not. It's about if you immigrate over here and start cooning. Okay, that's where the issue is.
There we go.
Because it's not. I have a friend that his parents they're all both Jamaican. They moved to America. He's first gen. And he does not coon at all. He's actually very, very much so an ally to foundational Black Americans. And he understands that when he's supporting reparations, he's not supporting it in an effort to get something for himself. He's supporting it in an effort to get those finances, the restitution for the slave labor that our ancestors, because my family is FBA, our ancestors. So he's a true ally. The issue arises when you have people like Candace Owens, come over here.
I
and
said
say,
Miss Farmer.
Black
I didn't want to say her
Americans
name.
Don't. We got to call names
yeah.
because we got to put names on it, because if we don't, then they'll say, well, who is this they you're talking about? You have immigrants like her that come over and I'm sorry, what were you saying, sis?
I said you did it. You good because I don't got time to be talking about I just don't have time.
It's all good, sis. I'll take the heat for it. I don't, it is what it is. I'm passionate about my shit. Sorry, I didn't mean to curse. I'm so sorry. I'm passionate about my things. And so, you have people like that. They come over here and they get the gall to tell Black Americans what we deserve, what we're entitled to. And it's like, that's not your history. That's not you. You can talk on whatever country you came from and deal with the slavery or the the discrimination that your people encountered in your country and deal with those people that did that to you. You can speak on that. And I'm all for people in their countries getting reparations for the people that did harm to them. But what I would never do is go over to a Haiti or go over to a Jamaica or go over to anywhere else and tell them what they're entitled to due to their history. So that's where at least my biggest issue is that, it's really disgusting to think that someone who looks like me, because we look the same, Black people, there's a general, phenotype that we all kind of have. There's variations of it, but it's within the same umbrella. People who look like all of us coming over here and then using our uniform to speak against things that don't even apply to them. That's where the issue is. And also another issue that I have is within any movement, you're going to have crazy people that mischaracterize it, but say they're for it. So people will be like, oh, the FBA, they're, oh, if you only have one parent, then you're not FBA, or, saying real radical things. And it's like, those are the crazies of the group. They're not the ones who are really moving the needle. Just like in the manosphere, you have the crazies over there that'll attack you if you say anything, slightly critical of men. It's just, you always are going to have those crazies within a group that take it to an extreme, but don't allow those people to mischaracterize what the actual movement is. Because just like the brother was saying, Tariq Nasheed says it often. He's not talking about all immigrants. He's talking about the ones who coon. That's the problem. It's not all immigrants. It's the cooning ones. And it's not all Black Americans. It's the cooning ones. That's where I draw the line. I see you cooning. I see you shucking and jiving for white people, trying to be as close to proximity of whiteness as possible, so you can get away from the dirty Blacks. That's where I have the issue.
Those are the tethers.
When you have those, that's where I have the problem. It's not the immigrants themselves. It's the idea of coming over here with our uniform, our as Black people who are melanated, and then speaking against something that has nothing to do with you. Because at the end of the day, reparations
as well.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, reparations is about getting payment for the labor that our ancestors did. They didn't have a choice to pass down the profits from their labor to their children, to their grandchildren, to throughout their lineages. And so that's why we're fighting for those reparations. It's not because we're lazy, we don't want anything. It's because our ancestors worked. They deserve to have they deserve to have money for the labor that they did. And who knows what kind of advancements, who knows what kind of status we could have in society, what kind of Black Wall Street, Black businesses, all these things we could have had if we had that money that would have been passed down to generations.
Also,
so that's the biggest issue that I'm having.
Everybody should know that reparations isn't Black people begging for money. It's the United States government reneging on a contract.
40 acres and a mule.
It was promised.
What we're owed.
Yeah, it was promised. So I hear people say that as well. It was promised and was never given. So,
But
Exactly.
they're giving reparations to all other people groups in
oh,
our
you know
face.
what? Jewish people have been given reparations in our history. Japanese, Native
Yeah,
Americans. There's been quite a few.
Do you
yeah,
guys
Mm-hmm.
think
in our
that
face.
do you think that reparations is possible without international pressure? Do you think it'll ever happen um just America on its own, or do you think it'll require international alliances with other nations in order for Black Americans in America to get reparations?
I think it would help, but I don't think it's required. There's a lot of things that African Americans have done in this country without the benefit of international pressure. So I don't think it's absolutely needed for it to be done, but I do think it can help.
Yeah, I tend to agree. But like it said, it goes back to my point. What doesn't help is people that look black, are black, but black from a different country saying that it's not something that we should receive. That's that's always going to be the point that
You
I go back
you've
to.
had, even if you go back to the continent of Africa itself, you've always had collaborators with the oppressor. That's happened in every ethnic group, all parts of history. You always have that small percentage of people who are going to collaborate with the oppressor in order to get paid, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm.
And we see that all across the board. So, that's always going to happen to a certain extent. But I mean, I understand to your point. It's like you don't want to be supporting anybody who is basically going to be supporting the oppression of you. Right? Whether they live with you,
Exactly.
whether they're immigrant, whether they're American. There's plenty of American born people who have been here decades who have the cooning mentality, like up the yin yang. That exists. And there are also self-hating people who come from other nations who come over here too. So
Well,
I don't pretend like that's
well, hold
that.
on. There's actually international organizations that tries to do that as well. So there's an organization fighting for reparations against. I think it's a Jamaican organization fighting for reparations from England and France, basically Europe. And they've tried to include themselves in our reparations fight because they said there's so many Jamaican citizens in the United States and they should get reparations too. That's a
But the
problem.
issue, yeah, the issue
That's a
with
serious
that
problem.
is reparations is about something very specific. It's about the slave
Exactly.
labor that happened back then. It's not about the police brutality. It's not about, civil
Exactly.
rights. It's not about that. It's simply about the issues that happened during slavery. So that's why they wouldn't be entitled to it. And then,
Right.
also,
But
like,
what
I
my
wouldn't go
point
to
is they're
Jamaica and
well aware.
say that I want
They're
their
well aware.
reparations. I don't have ties to Jamaica. I don't have lineage in Jamaica. So I wouldn't feel entitled to the money that they get from Britain or England. I wouldn't feel entitled to it because that's not my lineage. And that's for something very specific that happened to them. Same as the reparations for us, very specific to what happened to our ancestors in America during that specific time period.
And this is where a lot of
Do you have
this is
question? Do you have I think it's Truth Teller. Do you have I'd be curious to look into those sources. Do you have like articles or anything to share?
it was actually there was a YouTube video and there's an article regarding it. I'd have to go look for it. Basically, they're the only organization out of Jamaica fighting for reparations and negotiating. So if you Google that, you should see the articles and the woman's name. This is a Jamaican woman and she just recently did this within the last month, I think, in regards to including Jamaicans who are U.S. citizens and green card holders to also get
Oh,
reparations.
okay. So you're saying
I saw
specifically
that
within the
video.
reparations movement that's happening out in the U.S. Okay.
Yeah,
I'm
exactly.
curious if they had
I
their
saw
own
that
step
video.
that they were doing.
Well, they're fighting for their own settlement from UK and from UK primarily, and I think Haiti wants to start with for their fight with France and all that good stuff. So
But
Right.
I have to get up out of here. But I just want to say,
Yeah.
thank you for having me on. And it's all love if you're not cooning. It is all love. Like, we can chop it up, we can enjoy each other's cultures, we can have a good old funky time at the cookout. As long as you are
I
not
have something to
cooning.
ask you. Before you leave, I have something to ask you though. Do
Oh,
you
what's up,
think it's
sis?
right? Like I was discussing in the beginning of this video that I'm conservative, but I was in the beginning of my conservative, coming out as conservative, I was stating a lot of the conservative talking points that a lot of the Black conservatives, well known, state. And so some people, now that I'm like advocating for reparations, ADOS, and I'm more in tune with, okay, what's really going on in the Black community, and I'm not really stating talking points. I'm advocating for Black people as a conservative. There are people who don't like me who are pulling up screenshots from when I was stating those talking points. Do you think that that's right?
I do.
What I would say is that a lot of times when you have movements, people are looking for Trojan horses. People are looking for, people that want to grift into the movement and disrupt it. And so there are going to be people that are going to, feel that way. But I just personally, what I would suggest is just stay true to what you believe, and consistency, and being over time saying, being hands down in your stuff. Sorry, I was about to cuss again. Being 10 toes down in what you believe, that consistency will speak louder than a screenshot. Because at the end of the day, they're saying that because they don't want to have a situation of a Trojan horse. You know what I mean? So it's like whenever you have something like that, you got to kind of be a little bit empathetic to what they're trying to protect, because that's essentially what it is. They don't want anyone coming over that was spewing like anti-Black things, coming over here now spewing Black things, only to infiltrate and disrupt. So just if
Like
you're really about it, you're 10 toes down, stay firm in what you believe, and consistency will prove you to prevail in the long run. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's like I understand, but it's like you have to understand people's minds develop and change. A lot of people bring up my age. Okay, yes, I guess I can say I was pretty young and trying to find myself and my own opinions, and I feel like I finally truly found that. But some people refuse to accept that and think that I'm trying to grift off of the ADOS movement and all of that.
Well,
but really, I'm not. I don't make any money from this.
How long you've been doing the work though? Since you've changed your mind?
I've been advocating for reparations and ADOS since 2020.
Okay, I think that's where the problem is. There's a cost. Yeah, there's a cost for making mistakes. We all make mistakes. You just got to pay the cost. That's all.
And I mean, even to that point, I used to be part of the whole Democrat, all those things, and I started to see how they're negatively affecting, and also inflicting white supremacy on Black people. And so I had to make an enlightenment journey as well. And so it's just people trying to protect their movement. And like I said, there's always going to be people that's hella rude and, things like that. So don't let them, piss you off to the point where you're just like, F all this. Stay true to what you believe in, and let crazy people say, they gonna say what they gonna say. But if you're 10 toes down in it, your consistency over time is gonna prove that you're really about it and not a Trojan horse.
Got it.
I had a quick question. And I know you've changed your mind. You've clearly stated it.
I gotta go, y'all. Bye, y'all. Have a
Thank
great
you.
conversation.
When you were advocating against reparations, why? What was the reason behind that? I've heard other conservatives advocate against it. I've never really heard a clear answer. Do you remember what the reason was back then?
I was listening to, like I said, I was listening to a lot of big Black conservative pundits who I thought cared about the community the same way I did. Gotcha. So I was following after them. I was really trying to find my voice, find my own opinion. I was getting there, but again, after the situations happened in the beginning of 2020 with George Floyd and Ahmaud Arbery, that's when my eyes really opened up, and I'm just like, okay, these people are really crazy. I'm still conservative, but I'm not that conservative, no, because I was raised around Black people. I was raised in Black culture. I don't hate Black people.
What most people don't realize is Black people are culturally conservative. I think
said that in the video in here.
Yeah, it's true. It really is. But we're in the world we're in, so we got to fight alone. It looks like it. So, but thank you, ladies. Awesome conversation. I'll be watching. Thank you.
Absolutely. So I did have this real quickly that I wanted to read. I know reparations has kind of taken on, let me see. I know reparations has taken on a few different, like there's to this day there's different ideas of what it should mean, right? But I'm personally of the belief that reparations should fully repair all aspects of the Black community or Black peoples that have been negatively impacted. That's just not financially, obviously that's psychologically, that's educationally, that's the family structure. It's in different aspects we have been impacted. So I wanted to read this therapy, right? I wanted to read this really quick that I think kind of gives a sense of, what full reparations looks. It says reparations means full repair. Let me see. Let's see. Okay, it's really, really, really quick. Okay, so it says, for us in the movement, we understand that reparations under international norms and law means full repair. International law professor Nora Whitman in Slavery Reparations Time Is Now shares as the basis for full repair. It says the Permanent Court of International Justice laid out the general and foundational rule for reparations in the chorizo factory case of 1928. In that ruling, the court held that reparation must, as far as possible, wipe out all consequences of the illegal act and reestablish the situation which would, in all probability, have existed in that act had not been committed. So it kind of moves over, basically. It says international law, commission, and other established international guidelines lay out what is considered full and comprehensive reparation. These include cessation, assurances, and guarantees of non-repetition. Basically, a state responsible for wrongfully injuring your people is under an obligation to cease the act if it is continuing, offer appropriate assurances and guarantees of non-repetition. From thinking already right now to the what they call it, the 13th, which basically ends slavery, but then it has that one, it basically ends slavery except for the fact that if you're imprisoned. So just little things like that, loopholes. 2, it says restitution and reparation, reestablish the situation which existed before the wrongful act was committed to restore the victim to the original situation before gross violations of international law occurred. How includes restoration of freedom, recognition of humanity, identity, culture, reparation, livelihood, and wealth. So it's like, imagine, if you just think about it, like imagine, okay, we're not just talking 40 acres and a mule. You're talking culturally that was stripped from us, right? You're talking families were broken up. You already mentioned the psychological, the traumatic damage. The Monahan report, I spoke to this a few weeks ago in a video that I posted, and how even in the Monahan report, the government looked at how racism itself was inherently misandrous, and the ways that Black men in particular have been systematically dehumanized and devalued to the point where they're not even really considered a human anymore. They're really considered a subcategory. You see that in man not. So like that's just not, okay, here's some money. Like there are a lot of different policies, and there would be different programs and different things too that would need to address those components. Compensation, obviously, the injuring state is obligated to compensate for the damage if damage is not made good by restitution. So that speaks to the the financial aspect of it. Satisfaction as a means for reparations for moral damage, such as emotional injury, mental suffering, and injury to reputation. So again, you mentioned therapy and the different mental healing capacities that will need to happen for African Americans. And rehabilitation. Rehabilitation consists of mind, body, emotional, and spirit healing of the lasting effects of the trauma of enslavement and segregation. So what I like about that is that it is a comprehensive, in my humble opinion, it is a comprehensive look of, okay, what reparations could look like. I hear sometimes people just say, okay, we deserve our 40 acres and a mule, which I'm not opposed to that. But I think so much more was taken from us, and so much more. If you were just to give your average Black person, or let's just say you go to a working class environment where maybe somebody single parent, they don't maybe know about financial literacy. You know what I mean? It's a drug torn area or whatever. If you give them money in the bank and they don't know how to manage it, they're gonna lose it. They're going to spend it on something because they haven't been given the tools. They haven't been given, if you think about just generational, generational inheritance and just understanding of your parents, and you're sitting down, hey, this is how you manage money, this is how you manage finances. A lot of us don't even have that because so much was taken from us. So it's like money, I think to me would just be, that would be cheapening. That would cheapen the amount of trauma that the Black family has gone through for generations. So I kind of like how they kind of broke it down, huh? No, in order for this to be fully repaired, you have to actually address all the different damage that was done on every single level. So I just wanted to mention that real quick. Also, shout out to His Name Is My Name Too. It says, this is for the featured guest. Please don't feel the need to qualify your stance or explain. Continue to educate yourself outside of this space. I agree. I totally agree.
Thank you. And I would say for reparations, I still think financially will be good, but I mean,
for sure,
definitely offering some financial literacy classes would help as well. To
I
kind
agree.
of help us know what to do or how to handle the finances in a smart way.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And then I see again, His Name Is My Name Too. I see, let us not forget that there's a white supremacist machine that manipulates immigration. If I don't see me and you, it's easy for me to undermine. Absolutely. Absolutely. I think that goes back into because I know some of the earlier callers had made the comments that, like, yeah, immigrants coming over and making up these terms and these names, and that's what I was saying. Well, based upon what? How do we know that some of these popular terms or some of these popular ideas have come from immigrants? How do we know that didn't come from other white supremacists that are pushing propaganda? That to me, that seems more likely, because that's kind of been how it's been since the beginning of this nation. But here's another one. His Name Is My Name Too. Appreciate it. It says, this is for the brothers. Comment around Blackness and how it's not accepted throughout the diaspora. Take the rose-colored glasses off ADOS. Ally with those that are about it. Ignore the rest. Ignore the rest. So, Charisse, you have been so patient and so loving. I do appreciate you coming on here and sharing your perspective and sharing just your thoughts. Like I said, this was not about you being graded. You have a right to your own opinion. You have a right to share your beliefs, and you have a right to be wrong and to grow and learn. Like I said, I say all the time, I'll share my perspective, but I don't pretend to know everything. I don't pretend to have the final answer, and I could be corrected and I can grow. So, like I said, certainly on this platform, this is not about you being perfect. This is you just sharing your perspective based upon what you've learned and how you believe you can be productive, the most productive to, your Black community. So I do appreciate you being here.
Thank you. And before I go, I want to say, everybody, please go subscribe to my YouTube channel at Charisse Lane, CharriseLane. Follow me on Twitter, Charisse J Lane, Instagram, Charisse Lane, TikTok, Charisse Lane, and yeah, that's all my important social media networks that you can follow me on, but especially my YouTube. Please, Charisse Lane, CharriseLane.
I have her tagged in the description. I'll also be sure to include, you mentioned a few others I didn't know you were on, so I'll be sure to add those to the description. Also, shout out to African Diaspora News Channel for stopping by. I see Charisse, don't let people condemn you. We all had a time where we didn't know certain things. Right. You don't know what you don't know.
Thank you.
I'm all for, I'm not one just because somebody said something, dumb a month ago, I'm going to like hold it against them. It's like, we're human beings and we evolve and grow. I think people there needs to be grace for people to grow. Now, if they're being disingenuous, right, and they're just pandering or grifting and trying to make money, that's something different. But you genuinely not knowing something, or you being miseducated or undereducated, like, that's all of us at a particular point. So you coming out here with the right heart and motives, I think, to me, means a lot more than you just grifting, but you know what I mean, or having the wrong motive, but just trying to have all the facts right. That's just me.
And grifters make money. Grifters make money. I don't make no. I said grifters make money. I don't make no money from this. Like, if you guys, I'm still living with my mother. If I was grifting, I would have had my own apartment by now. I'm working on it though. But
no, I hear you. I had that early on where it's just like, okay, I'm now about a year into YouTube, and I know if I wanted to have a much larger following, all I'd have to do is just a few simple things. First, go with the man-hating propaganda. That would get me so much more views. That would get me so much more followers. Then start to promote, just this certain things like, you know how if you pander, you get money. If you pander, you get money.
Yes.
You can get money, but that's not helping people. So
no money over here.
Sadly, sometimes trying to be positive or sometimes trying to be productive does not always get the views, does not always get the support. And that's why, you just got to make sure you're doing it for the right reasons. And at the end of the day, I stand before God. So I'm like, okay, if I don't get paid today, God knows what, God knows I have the right heart. And that's what matters.
We're going to have a crown.
No, I hear you. But yeah, so like I said, don't please, especially if somebody ain't sending no super chat, don't take no hate seriously. Not if they're paying you.
I don't even make money off YouTube.
Then you can maybe have a conversation.
I don't even make money off YouTube yet. I'm still trying to get monetized, and it's hard. It's been hard.
Right. So, but like I said, I appreciate you coming on here. I always love having conversations with genuine people, like I said, and you are a genuine person. So, this has been dope. So I know you, like I said, check her out, you guys. If you haven't, you can find her YouTube, obviously Instagram, TikTok, Twitter. Show some love, show some support, especially, you know what I mean? We got to support each other. So if you want to send some love to her Cash App or Venmo, I'm sure she wouldn't mind.
Y'all need my Cash App?
I put that in there too.
CHARISELANE3.
Charisse, she said that you're gonna get 1 million followers showing your jerk chicken recipe.
I don't even know how to cook jerk chicken. I need to learn though.
We can work on that. It's all good. But Amanda, did you have any other final thoughts? Did you have any other thoughts on this topic that you wanted to leave with the audience, that you wanted to share?
Just know that I've always been genuine since day one. My passion is my people, period. I'm going to advocate for my people until the day I die. I don't care who likes it. I don't care who doesn't like it. That's been me and has always been me. I've never fit into the in crowd. I've always been the odd one out because I've just chosen to do things differently ever since grade school. So it's going to be that way for a while, and nobody can shut me up, period.
Right. So, no, I hear you. Well, like I said, you're always welcome here. All love on my end. All love on my end. Like I said, and I appreciate you coming on here and talking and sharing what you believe to be the best and the most productive for yourself and for the people who look like you. So shout out to Charisse Lane for that. I was about to give you a hand clap and my thing broke. Okay, there you go. There you go. So anyways, well, this has been lovely. I have taken up so much of your time. I know you've been working hard. So I do appreciate you stopping by. Like I said, you are welcome here anytime. It's been blessed.
Thank you. Now I got to go to the gym. I'm tired.
It's all good. It's all good. You can do it. That youth, let that youth kick in.
Oh, Lord.
All right. Well, you take care. Don't work too hard.
I'll try.
All right.
Bye.
Bye. Yes. So, thanks all of you guys who called in, who've tuned in. That was an interesting discussion. Like I said, to me, I have these kind of talks, and it's not necessarily always about trying to be right or have the perfect answer, because I don't, you only know what you know, and you don't know what you don't know sometimes. So I could say something and find out 2 days later that I was misinformed or learned something that completely expands my understanding of that topic. So there has to be room for people to discuss and have these kinds of conversations without bashing people, without, trying to point fingers or blame, because this is how you learn and grow. And this is how you figure out, okay, is what I'm believing, is what I say, what I'm believing really true? Or am I missing something? So like I said, it's always good to have somebody come on. It's always good to have somebody come on and share their perspective and share their thoughts. I will say, for this, me personally, I know there's a lot of different, I guess, ADOS, FBA. I learned something a little bit more about the perspective on what that means and what that stands for. It sounds like there's still some more research I need to do, because there's, for what I'm understanding, they're on two different camps. But I know at the end of the day, it's like you're just trying to work. We're trying to work forward and figure out how to make the best of where we are at today with the Black community. I personally know that even if we look at the state of Black America today, it was Black Americans that worked to get us to where we're at, and it was also Black immigrants to work to get where we're at. So there was definitely a marriage of both, and so I never try to position one against the other or say, hey, you're better or you're worse, or immigrants are the problem or Americans are the problem. I think at the end of the day, if you're cooning, you're cooning, and you can find Black immigrant coons, you can find Black American coons, and it's more important that you are working against the oppressive system, right? Then I think focusing on the propaganda that will get you divided and get you bickering against each other. So that's my position. Those are my thoughts. But again, I appreciate all of you guys for tuning in. Also, shout out to Kevin C for becoming a new member, but much appreciated. Much appreciated. I see. Okay, guys, the book From Here to Equality, Reparations for Black Americans in the 21st Century, authored by William Darity Jr., explains who is entitled to use reparations, and it's not Black immigrants. Interesting. Might have to check that out. So again, also, you guys, I don't see all your comments. That's why. So if you guys are showing different things to me, like I'm doing my best to try to respond to everything. I'm doing my best to try to to engage. But if I'm with a guest, I only have two eyes. I can't see all the comments and you at the same time. So if I don't get to you, it's no judgment. I make it a point to try to make sure that I'm engaging with those who send in super chats, and I make it a point, especially to engage with those members. Outside of that, I will do my best to engage with you. And if I miss a comment, if I don't see it, it's nothing personal. You just know that, like I said, I only have two eyes. I don't have four, so I can't be looking at you and the guest and the camera and this at the same time. I can only do so much. So anyways, I do appreciate you guys calling on. I appreciate you hanging out. And definitely stay tuned for more content, and we'll talk later. Bye.